Welcome to Heart and Hustle, where love meets mindset. I'm Courtney Ryan, and I'm here to help you level up your heart, your hustle, and your life. Today, we're diving into something that's both subtle and powerful: the way women communicate their interest in getting physical without ever really saying it directly. Because the truth is, most women don't want to seem too forward or too easy, but they still want you to know. It's not about playing games, it's about preserving value while also showing desire. And trust me, if you know what to look for, you'll never be confused again. So let's talk about what a woman says and how she says it when she wants to sleep with you but doesn't want to be obvious. Let's start with this: women often speak in implications, not instructions. She's not going to say, "I want to sleep with you tonight." Instead, she'll test the waters with something softer, but just as meaningful. For example, one of the most common phrases is, "I feel so safe with you," is emotional permission for intimacy. On the surface, it sounds like a sweet, innocent compliment, but when a woman says this, especially in a quiet, private moment, it carries a deeper meaning, one that often signals readiness for emotional and physical connection. It's not something she says to just anyone. It's something that comes out when her guard is down, when trust is established, and when the chemistry has reached a level where she's considering what's next. Safety to a woman isn't just about physical protection, it's about emotional security. When she says she feels safe with you, she's telling you that you've created an environment where she feels seen, heard, and understood. That kind of emotional safety is rare, and it's often the thing that allows her to open up in ways she wouldn't otherwise. Most women don't want to be perceived as easy, and many have been judged harshly for expressing sexual desire openly. So instead of saying something forward like, "I want to sleep with you," they wrap that desire in softer, more emotionally coded language. Saying, "I feel safe with you," is her way of letting you know she's comfortable enough to take things further if you lead, if the energy feels right, if the moment allows it. It's her way of signaling, "I trust you with my body because I trust you with my emotions." And for many women, those two things are deeply linked. This phrase usually doesn't show up in the early stages of dating. It comes out after a few genuine conversations, after you've listened to her without judgment, after you've respected her boundaries without pushing, and after you've shown consistency. A woman might be physically attracted to someone, but she won't get intimate unless she feels emotionally safe. That safety comes from your tone, your attention, your vibe, your body language. It's the full picture of how you treat her. You might hear her say it when the two of you are alone, maybe after a deep conversation, or when she's in your arms and everything just feels calm and natural. She might say it softly, almost as if she's surprised herself, because feeling safe isn't something she finds every day. In that moment, her saying it is a milestone. It's not just a compliment, it's permission. It's her telling you that her walls are down, that she feels relaxed, and that she's open to whatever comes next. The timing of when she says it also matters. If it's during a moment of closeness, cuddling, a slow kiss, deep eye contact, then it's often a direct link to intimacy. She might be saying it as her way of processing the comfort she feels with you, but she's also telling you that she feels emotionally available and physically ready. This is where many guys miss the cue because they take the words at face value. They respond with something like, "Oh, that's sweet," and completely overlook the fact that she's actually giving them a signal. She's not asking for anything, but she's letting you know the door is open. It's important to understand that for women, intimacy is layered. It's not just a physical act, it's an emotional experience. When she says, "I feel safe with you," she's not just talking about the environment or your apartment or the neighborhood you're in. She's talking about how you make her feel. Safe to be herself, safe to express emotion, safe to let go. That kind of safety makes her feel like she won't be judged, used, or misunderstood. And when a woman feels that kind of emotional comfort, she's far more likely to connect with you physically. This is also why rushing things or trying to force intimacy too soon backfires. If she doesn't feel safe, she won't open up. If she feels pressured, the moment is ruined. But if she says, "I feel so safe with you," and you respond with presence, patience, and confidence, she will trust the space between you. That trust is what builds anticipation. That anticipation is what leads to those deeply charged, emotional, and meaningful moments that aren't just about attraction. They're about connection. And when a woman feels that connection, she's no longer guarding herself. She's expressing openness, willingness, and readiness in a way that still feels respectful and natural to her. "I never do this" is one of the most common phrases women use when they're about to step outside their comfort zone with someone they're genuinely attracted to. At first glance, it may seem like a disclaimer or a defense mechanism, but it's actually a subtle way of expressing desire while protecting her image. Society often puts pressure on women to appear modest, reserved, and in control of their emotions and impulses, especially when it comes to sex. So when she feels a strong connection or urge to be intimate, she may preface it with this phrase to communicate that what's happening isn't ordinary, it's special. When a woman says, "I never do this." What she's really saying is that she doesn't take these kinds of actions lightly. It's her way of softening the vulnerability of the moment. She wants to pursue the experience, but she also wants to maintain her value and show that she doesn't behave like this with just anyone. In fact, that phrase is often less about the action and more about the person. She's making it clear that you are different, that she feels something with you that she doesn't usually feel. It's her way of telling you that she's crossing her own boundaries because the connection she feels is strong enough to justify it. This phrase usually comes during a moment of heightened chemistry. Maybe it's the first time she's alone with you. Maybe you're sitting close together and the mood is shifting. Maybe you've been kissing and she's caught in the emotional buildup. And then she says it not to stop what's happening, but to slow it down just enough to protect her self-image. She's letting you know that she's aware of what she's doing, that it's not impulsive or careless, but that she's choosing it intentionally. It's almost like a disclaimer before giving herself permission to act on what she wants. The deeper layer of "I never do this" is that it's also a test. She wants to see how you'll react. If you dismiss it or make her feel silly for saying it, she may pull back. If you pressure her or take it as an invitation to push further, she may shut down. But if you handle it with sensitivity, if you stay present, grounded, and respectful, she'll feel reassured. She'll feel that her vulnerability is safe with you, and that makes her more likely to continue opening up. The phrase itself is a moment of internal conflict being spoken out loud. She's torn between what she's used to doing and what she feels in this particular situation, and your response can make all the difference. It's important to recognize that "I never do this" doesn't necessarily mean she's never been in a similar situation before. It means she doesn't typically act on those situations, or at least that she doesn't make it a habit. Whether it's literally true or not is less important than what it signifies emotionally. It's about perception. It's about her trying to preserve a sense of dignity while still following through with what she desires. And in that moment, what she desires is closeness with you. She's attracted to you, she feels something meaningful, and she wants to explore it without the fear of being judged. Women are often conditioned to be cautious about how they're perceived. Saying "I never do this" gives her an emotional buffer, a way to show that even if this moves quickly, it doesn't mean she's reckless or lacking standards. It's a form of reassurance for herself and for you. It means this connection has stirred something in her that feels different, and rather than pretending it's nothing, she's choosing to acknowledge it in the most careful way she can. She's opening the door, but with hesitation because she still wants to be valued. In that moment, the best thing a man can do is recognize what she's really saying underneath the words. She's not asking for validation in the form of approval. She's asking for understanding. She wants to know that you won't think less of her, that this experience will be something meaningful and not just transactional. She's giving you a chance to respond with maturity, to show that you're not just chasing the physical, but that you respect her as a person. That kind of response creates emotional safety and deepens the connection. "You're dangerous" might sound like a playful jab, a joke tossed out in the middle of flirtation, but beneath that teasing tone is a powerful truth. When a woman says this to a man, she's not talking about literal danger. She's talking about the kind of danger that threatens her self-control, the kind of temptation that makes her nervous in the best possible way. It's her way of acknowledging how strongly she's feeling drawn to you while still trying to maintain an emotional guard. The word "dangerous" becomes code for chemistry, tension, and emotional risk, all wrapped in one short phrase. This isn't something she says to someone she's indifferent toward. It's a phrase loaded with desire, and the use of the word "dangerous" is her way of hinting that she's aware of the pull between you two. It's a way of saying, "You could get me to do things I usually wouldn't do," or "You're making me feel something I don't usually allow myself to feel." She might say it with a smile, a slight laugh, or even a look of mock exasperation, but it always comes from a place of emotional excitement. You've disrupted her sense of control in a way that feels thrilling, not threatening. Women are often cautious about how fast they move emotionally or physically. They've been taught to guard their hearts, to be selective, to make sure they're not giving in too soon or too easily. So when she meets someone who bypasses her usual filters and gets her feeling things quickly, it can feel risky, even if it's exciting. That's where "you're dangerous" comes in. It allows her to express her feelings without fully surrendering to them just yet. She's giving voice to the inner tension. She's feeling the part of her that wants to lean in and the part of her that wants to be careful. This phrase usually appears when the emotional and physical connection is intensifying. It might be after a deep conversation, or when your energy together starts to feel magnetic, or when you touch her in a way that makes her pulse quicken. It's her way of acknowledging that something is happening between you, something real, something charged. And rather than say something direct like, "I want you," which might feel too vulnerable or too forward, she couches it in humor or playful accusation. It's the feminine way of expressing desire while still preserving a sense of control. Pay attention to the context in which she says it. If it's after you've just said something charming, or if you're looking at her with intensity, or you've gotten close and the air feels heavy with anticipation, then "you're dangerous" isn't just a comment, it's a signal. It means you're making her feel things and she's a little bit overwhelmed by it. But that overwhelm isn't a bad thing. In fact, it's usually what precedes intimacy. Emotional vulnerability often feels like a form of risk, and when she calls you dangerous, it's because she senses that she's on the edge of giving in to those emotions. Women are extremely aware of how fast things move, and they often want to feel like whatever happens next is something they chose, not something they were talked into. So when she says, "you're dangerous," she's still holding on to a bit of resistance, but that resistance is soft. It's the kind of resistance that melts when she feels like she's being respected, not rushed. She may even say it to test your reaction. Will you laugh with her? Will you respect the space she's trying to maintain? Will you recognize the underlying message? If you pass that test, you reinforce the sense of emotional safety she needs to lean into the attraction. Her saying this phrase also shows that she's aware of her boundaries and how close you are to crossing them in a good way. She's flirting with the idea of surrender, of letting go of control, of exploring where this tension leads. And in order to do that, she needs to feel that the connection is genuine. That's why your energy matters more than your words. If she senses that you're just trying to get her into bed, the danger becomes real, not in a seductive way, but in a way that makes her pull back. But if she feels like you're creating a space where she can give into her emotions freely and safely, then the word "dangerous" transforms into something intimate, magnetic, and exciting. "We shouldn't be doing this" is one of the most revealing phrases a woman can say in a moment of intimacy. It carries tension, temptation, and emotional conflict all at once. When a woman says this, she's not always trying to stop what's happening. More often, she's expressing the intensity of the moment, the electricity in the air, and the fact that part of her is fully present and wanting it, while another part is still calculating the risks. It's her inner voice being spoken out loud, the one that's trying to hold on to logic while her emotions and physical desires are pulling her closer. This phrase often comes during moments where things are escalating, emotionally, physically, or both. She may whisper it as your faces are inches apart, as your bodies are pressed together, or as the chemistry between you builds into something undeniable. It's important to understand that this isn't necessarily a rejection. It's actually an invitation to slow down and pay attention to what she's feeling. She's letting you in on her internal dialogue. She's saying in her own way that she's attracted to you, that she's tempted, but that she's also struggling with the pace or implications of what's happening. For many women, being intimate carries more emotional weight. They're aware of how they'll feel afterward, how they'll be perceived, and whether they'll be respected or regretted. So when she says, "Why shouldn't be doing this?" she's revealing that the moment feels powerful, maybe even overwhelming. She might be saying it with a laugh, a smile, a sigh, or even a half-hearted attempt to pull away, all of which mean the same thing. She's into it, but she's still trying to manage how it will affect her. This phrase often comes from a place of attraction mixed with caution. She's acknowledging that what's happening feels good, feels right in the moment, but might not align with what she originally planned. Maybe she told herself she wouldn't move this fast. Maybe she's trying to uphold certain boundaries or values. Maybe she's scared of getting hurt. But the fact that she's still there, still close to you, still allowing the energy to flow, says more than the words themselves. In most cases, she's hoping you understand the depth of the moment without needing to spell it out. She's looking for a response that reassures her she's safe, that she's being respected, and that she's not going to be judged for whatever decision she makes next. Tone and body language play a huge role in interpreting this phrase. If she says it while leaning in closer, while touching you, while not making any real effort to stop, then it's not a hard boundary. It's a hesitation wrapped in desire. It's her way of keeping one foot on the ground while the rest of her is floating. She wants to be swept away by the experience, but she also wants to know that she's in good hands, that the person she's opening up to emotionally and physically won't take advantage of her vulnerability. The key is to stay grounded and present. Don't laugh it off, don't push further, and don't freeze up. Just stay in the moment, be still, and let her decide what comes next. That sense of control is everything. This phrase can also be an emotional test. She wants to see how you handle her uncertainty. Do you get frustrated? Do you try to manipulate her into continuing? Or do you stay calm, confident, and respectful? Your reaction tells her everything she needs to know about your character. If you honor her space and let things unfold naturally, the tension doesn't go away. It intensifies in a good way. because now she knows she can trust you. That trust becomes the bridge that leads her from doubt to decision. Once she feels that emotional security, the resistance often melts on its own. Not because she was convinced, but because she arrived there on her own terms. She might also be using this phrase to protect herself from guilt or judgment. By saying, "We shouldn't be doing this," she frames what's happening as unexpected or unusual for her. It's not just a warning, it's also a way to separate the moment from her identity. She wants to feel desired without feeling like she's lowering her standards. She wants to give in without giving up control. And when she says this out loud, she's trying to manage that balance between surrender and self-respect. She's expressing a need for reassurance, whether emotional, verbal, or energetic, that what's happening is okay, that it's mutual, that it's meaningful, and that it won't make her feel used or devalued. "I just want to be close to you" is one of those deceptively simple phrases that carries layers of meaning, especially when it's said in a quiet moment between a man and a woman. On the surface, it sounds affectionate, maybe even innocent, but beneath it is an unspoken desire for connection that often goes beyond just emotional closeness. When a woman says this, it's usually when she's feeling safe, drawn in, and emotionally connected to the point where her guard is coming down. It's not always a direct invitation for physical intimacy. But it often leads there not because of pressure, but because closeness is the gateway to deeper intimacy for most women. This phrase is a soft, emotional expression of desire, wrapped in vulnerability, comfort, and connection. She may say it while you're sitting close on the couch after a long conversation, or even while cuddling in bed. It might be during a moment when you're both quiet, just soaking in the energy between you. And then she leans in, maybe rests her head on your chest or shoulder, and says it softly, "I just want to be close to you." What she's really saying in that moment is that she wants to feel your presence, to be wrapped in your energy, to let herself relax into you without fear or tension. It's an emotional cue that she feels safe, and when a woman feels safe, she naturally opens up, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. That's when intimacy begins to deepen. This isn't a phrase that typically comes from lust or casual attraction. It comes from a place of comfort and emotional alignment. A woman doesn't just want your touch. She wants your essence, your energy, your presence. That's what closeness means to her. It's not just about physical nearness, it's about emotional resonance. She's expressing that being around you feels good, that being next to you feels natural, that being in your arms or within your space gives her a sense of peace that she doesn't often find. That peace is what draws her closer, and the more she feels that calm, the more likely she is to let herself fall deeper into the moment. There's also an element of unspoken invitation in this phrase. It's not demanding, it's not pushy, it's soft, feminine, and deeply honest. When she says it, she's testing the emotional waters. She wants to see how you'll respond, whether you'll meet her vulnerability with acceptance or with expectation. She wants to know if you'll be present with her or if you'll take her closeness as a signal to push things further. Women pay close attention to how a man handles these tender moments. If you respect her pace, if you meet her emotional energy instead of rushing ahead, she feels even more drawn to you. That emotional attunement is rare, and when a woman senses it, it creates a deep emotional imprint. Another layer to this phrase is that it often appears in moments of emotional intensity. Maybe she's had a stressful day, or maybe the two of you just had a powerful conversation, or maybe the silence between you feels so emotionally charged that she doesn't want to break it with anything other than honesty. Saying, "I just want to be close to you," is her way of seeking comfort, grounding, and connection. It's her way of saying that right now, nothing else matters. She just wants to be in this moment with you, feeling held and accepted. Sometimes she's also saying it to guide the energy towards something more intimate without saying it outright. It's not manipulation, it's how many women express desire without being overly direct. She may want more than cuddling or closeness, but she starts with emotional language because that's how she connects. For many women, emotional intimacy leads to physical intimacy. It's the foundation. When she says she wants to be close, she may be opening the door to something deeper, but she wants to see if you can feel that rather than just hear it. If you can respond to her energy, to the softness of the moment, to the vulnerability behind her words, she'll feel safe enough to move forward. There's also comfort in the ambiguity of the phrase. It allows her to express her desire without fully committing to what might happen next. It gives her space to feel without pressure. And that space is exactly what allows intimacy to grow organically. When a woman says she just wants to be close, she's not asking for an outcome, she's asking for presence. She wants you there with her emotionally, physically, energetically. She wants to feel your breath, your calmness, your warmth, because in that closeness, she finds the permission to let go. She finds the feeling of being chosen, not for what she does, but for who she is. That feeling is what makes her want to move closer, not just in space, but in trust. What are we even doing? Is one of those emotionally charged questions that doesn't always demand an answer, but speaks volumes about what a woman is feeling in the moment. It often surfaces when tension has been building, when attraction is thick in the air, and when emotions and physical closeness have reached a point where she's no longer sure if what's happening is just flirting or if it's something more. It's not always a question about labels or relationships. It's a question born out of confusion, temptation, and emotional vulnerability. When a woman says this, she's expressing that what's happening between you two is real enough to make her second, guess her boundaries, and wonder what direction things are heading in. This phrase usually comes when lines are starting to blur. Maybe you're alone together late at night, maybe you've been talking for hours, maybe you've kissed once or twice, or maybe you've just been dancing around the unspoken attraction for way too long. She might look at you, half laughing, half serious, and say, "What are we even doing?" It might come out in a playful tone, or it might come out in a soft whisper, depending on how conflicted she feels inside. But either way, what she's really expressing is that she's feeling something she didn't expect, and it's starting to affect her emotionally. She wants to know if this moment means as much to you as it's starting to mean to her. For many women, especially those who are used to keeping control, this question isn't about seeking clarity in the traditional sense. It's about exposing how deeply the connection is pulling her in. It's about putting her vulnerability on the table while still trying to play it cool. She's emotionally opening a door without fully walking through it yet. She's inviting you to meet her in that moment, to be honest about what you're feeling too, and to help her navigate something that's clearly becoming more intense than she originally planned. Sometimes she says it because she feels like the emotions or attraction are too strong to ignore anymore. Other times, she says it because she's not sure if you're on the same page or just enjoying the moment without thinking about what comes next. There's also a level of hesitation in that question. She's checking in with herself as much as she's checking in with you. She may have told herself she wouldn't get too close, or that she was just looking for fun, or that she wouldn't let herself get emotionally involved. But now something about the way you look at her, talk to her, or touch her has made her second. Guess all of that. She's beginning to feel something real, and real feelings come with real risk. When she asks, "What are we even doing?" she's searching for reassurance without having to beg for it. She wants to know if this is going somewhere or if she's just caught up in a moment that won't mean anything tomorrow. This phrase can also signal that she's looking for you to take the lead emotionally. It doesn't mean she wants a deep conversation right there and then, but she does want to see how you handle the emotional weight of the moment. If you laugh it off or ignore it, she might retreat. If you panic or fumble, she might feel like she was too vulnerable too soon. But if you hold eye contact, stay calm, and give her a sincere, present response, even something as simple as, "I don't know, but I feel it too," then she knows she's not alone in what she's experiencing. That shared vulnerability creates a moment of connection that can make everything that follows feel more meaningful and safe. Sometimes, "What are we even doing?" is also her way of putting the brakes on the physical momentum just for a second to see if what's happening is based on more than just attraction. She's not saying no. She's saying, "I need to know this isn't just casual for you if I'm going to let this happen." She wants to make sure that whatever is unfolding between you isn't going to leave her feeling emotionally exposed or regretting things afterward. It's a checkpoint, not a roadblock. It's a pause filled with emotion, not rejection. And how you respond in that pause tells her everything about your intentions and your character. She may also be wrestling with her own expectations. Maybe this started as something lighthearted, but now her feelings are involved and that's scary. Or maybe she's been hurt before, and even though she feels safe with you, her mind is warning her not to fall too quickly. The question, "What are we even doing?" is her heart trying to balance desire and fear, connection and caution, surrender and self-protection.